Okay, here I am installing the second fan in the other room. That track light has been ripped out, hole has been patched, whole ceiling has been painted. In the previous video I mentioned that there was some motor hum, so I decided to install it without the fan controller and remote first to see if it has the same noise. Again, we're just going to test it. Pull once. Yep, there is some hum on high. Can you hear that? It's a little bit less on medium. And there's still some noise on low. Again, high. See if I can get the microphone closer. It is a pretty noticeable hum. So let's put the fan controller and receiver back on and see if it makes a difference. Okay. It's high. Can you hear that? That's medium. And that's low. So this is the same setup as before. Just a reminder, all these wires are supposed to go inside the outlet box, but I would love to see someone try to stuff all those wire nuts and wires back through that tiny hole. I've never seen a hole that tiny before in my life. So again, make sure you do it to code, whatever that may be where you live. Really the biggest woe of this all is this receiver. Again, I don't know why they haven't found a way to make this smaller by now. You would think that after installing this one time already in the other room I would have an easier time the second time around, but nope. It was just as horrible. There's not really any gaps or anything where you can run the zip ties through. And that took me longer than hooking up the rest of the connections. So good luck with that. In the previous video I made an incorrect statement that you had to hold this up, the housing, while installing it. This little divot here, dimple, I don't know what you want to call it. And apparently there's a little notch right here that you rest it on while you screwed the 4 screws in. So that was a mistake I made earlier. Before you screw that in, I just want to make a note that this gap on the top appeared in both rooms. That plate is flush to the ceiling, so that's just how it sits. I don't really care for that too much. I prefer it to be more flush with the ceiling. It's a pretty sizable gap, it's at least a 1/4 inch. I don't even know if you can caulk that. So good thing I did sealing around the outlet box. The hole around the drywall that was cut too big, otherwise all that hot air from the attic will be coming down. But I want to mention this before you tighten these 2 screws down. Unless your box is perfectly level, it might not be level here. I had this problem in the other room where this edge of the cover was rubbing against the motor. So you can tilt this as necessary to make sure that you have clearance with the blade arms. You definitely don't want to have to do it after the fact. So yeah, just keep that in mind before you tighten everything down. Sorry, I don't have my external mic right now. Hope you can hear me. In the last video, this is the bottom of the motor plate. This holds the light kit. These screws don't go in that easily. I suggest you thread these in while it's off the fan. It's a lot easier that way. And one last tip with the light kit, when you mount this to the bottom plate, I like to angle this so that it's not shining directly in your face when you're lying down in bed. Just a personal preference, but you could kind of turn it around so that maybe these bulbs are facing slightly away. Don't know if that makes sense, but again, it's just something that I found helpful over the years. And finally, before you finish putting the blades on, I did mention that the ceiling was painted. So I would probably take the time tomorrow to do some touch up, especially the area around the housing. Unless you're perfect and not touching that while installing it, there might be some marks there. The guy previously used a semi-gloss, so any other areas I missed are kind of easy to spot during sunlight, which we don't have right now. This is almost nighttime. So yeah, these are just some more additional notes. Again, check out the other video for more details on installation. And as always, if you have any questions or want to see something else, let me know.